Good evening, it's meteorologist Michael Fecca. Welcome back to the 9 p.m. all-weather, all-streaming show we do here every night during the workdays and on weekends. We stream it out to all of our streaming platforms as well as to Facebook and YouTube. So if you are joining us from either of those places, please feel free to leave us a question or a comment down below. Hopefully, I'll be able to address everything as I go through the forecast, but if not, I'll take a couple of questions and comments at the very end and see if I can answer anything individually for you. But we've got a lot to talk about here, and I'm sure we've got a lot of folks asking the same questions. So let's get right into it, and let's talk about the alerts we have in effect for this weekend and into the start of next week. We've got potentially a major winter storm on the way for the tri-state. We're on alert here Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Saturday and Sundays looks like we'll be picking up most of our accumulation. All of this snow will kind of clear out of here by the time we get into Sunday afternoon, but then it's going to be dangerously cold following this system for the start of the work week on Monday, some of the coldest temperatures we've seen so far this year. So let's break down all the details. I like to show this every kind of time I go on air because every time I bring this up, it updates and it expands that area of major impact from a winter storm. So earlier when I came in, it was just this small corner of the tri-state that had this red indicating major impacts. Now it's pretty much spread in across the entire tri-state that we're all gearing up for a major winter storm here, and those impacts just generally increase even more as you go farther off to our south and west, especially through Tennessee and parts of the deep south. They're picking up on potentially a major ice storm. We're not getting too much in the way of ice. We may see a little mixing here and there, but for most of us, it's going to remain all snow, and that's good news. A lot of us are traumatized from ice storms in the past. I don't think that's going to be a situation that we're dealing with this time. I think it's going to be mostly snow across the tri-state with the potential for some mixing with sleet and freezing rain across our far southern counties, Hopkins, Muhlenberg, and Ohio counties, maybe even a little bit of McLean County there, but predominantly expecting all snow, and it is expected to be a drier, fluffier snow. So it's not that heavy, wet, heart attack snow that we all hate to have to shovel and clear off our cars with. So it should be fairly light and fluffy in consistency. But let's take a look at the timing of everything, and then I'm going to take you through several model snowfall accumulation maps, and then I'm going to show you my snowfall accumulation map, and I'll break down all those details. But here's kind of the timing. The thinking is we're going to stay quiet through the rest of tonight, quiet through tomorrow. We'll see partly sunny skies, maybe even becoming mostly sunny by late in the afternoon, but then clouds will increase through Friday evening, and we're not expecting any moisture to actually make it up into the tri-state until we're in by mid to late morning on Saturday. We could start to see some of those spotty snow showers begin to move through, and it looks like this storm system is going to be cut up into almost two different waves. So this first wave moves in mid to late morning Saturday, continues to bring us snow showers through the first part of the afternoon, and then it looks like we have a little bit of a lull by the evening hours, and then it starts to pick back up again late Saturday night and into the overnight hours, where widespread moderate to heavy snow fills in across pretty much the entire tri-state there, with a little bit of that mixing starting to creep up into portions of western Kentucky. But you'll notice it doesn't creep up much farther than that. It stays across portions of Muhlenberg, Hopkins, and Ohio County. So not expecting much of an ice impact. Again, most of this is going to be straight up snow here across the tri-state. So looking at several different models. These are model data. This is not an actual forecast. I will show you my actual forecast, but I want to take a look at all the data that I'm looking at so that you guys can better understand what I'm forecasting. But in terms of the graph model, this is our in-house model. I seem to fairly agree with this pretty wholeheartedly, actually. It lines up pretty nicely with what my forecast is already seeing, but a widespread 8 to 12 inches can be expected across the tri-state, with a little bit less across those counties where you may mix with a little bit of that sleet and freezing rain for Hopkins, Muhlenberg, and Ohio counties. Now this is the GFS snowfall accumulation, still putting out around 11 inches, 12 inches here in the Evansville area, but it actually goes a little bit higher across portions of western Kentucky. Now, I will say the GFS does not take into account the fact that it's including sleet and freezing rain in these totals. So it's picking it up as snow, but it's not actually snow. So that's why these are so inflated here, where they're expecting mostly an ice storm. That's because it's not actually snow. So take that with a grain of salt. But at least here in the Evansville area where we're not dealing with that mixing issue, it still agrees with what the graph says, going around 11 inches of snow. And here's the outlier. This is the European model. This has been the one that's been putting out the most snow this whole entire time that we've been forecasting. It's putting out as much as 18 inches of snow here in the tri-state. Again, not a forecast, not agreeing with this whatsoever. I will show you my forecast here in a second, but I do want to show you just kind of the spread in model data that we're dealing with even just less than 48 hours away from the start of this storm system. So going into this and looking at my snowfall forecast here, I do want you to know there's probably going to be some adjustments to this with the more model data that comes in overnight and into tomorrow morning. We may see a couple of inches shaved off here, maybe a few more added in several locations. But again, the general idea here is we're all going to see a widespread 8 to 12 inches across the tri-state. Now, there is the potential for some bands to set up within the tri-state, and we could see some enhancement from that. So that may lead to some pockets of up to a foot or maybe even slightly more in this pink area. Now, this band is going to be extremely hard to forecast ahead of time. Usually you can't really pinpoint where those mesoscale bands set up until the storm is actually going. So, this may shift to the north, this may shift to the south, this may just expand and take up more space if we continue to see the models trend upwards in these snowfall totals. But regardless, we're expecting a major impact from this storm system, primarily all snow, fairly light, fluffy, and dry, mixing with a little bit of sleet and freezing rain across Hopkins and Muhlenberg and Ohio County. That's where your totals will likely end up in the 4 to 8 inch range, but I still think you'll end up on the higher end of that 4 to 8 inch range. So still expecting lots of snowfall for everybody here in the tri-state, whether you're in Wayne County, Illinois, or in Muhlenberg County, Kentucky. You're going to get snow this weekend. It's going to be enough to cause a lot of problems. It's going to be hard to travel. You're going to want to hunker down. I don't recommend leaving your homes this weekend either. If you can stay inside, just stay inside. It'll be pretty to watch fall outside of the window, and then by the time it's all said and done, you can go out and play in it. But I don't want you guys to be out in this storm system while it's happening, especially Saturday night into early Sunday morning. I think that's going to be the most impactful part of this storm system. So let me pause, catch my breath here for a second. Let me look at some of the comments. A lot of people just tuning in, telling us where they're watching from. I appreciate it, you guys. We've got a lot of viewers on here tonight. A lot of people in Kentucky are watching. How much is too much when it comes to eating snow ice cream? I say that there's no limit. William's excited for Snowmageddon. What's Lexington going to get? Lexington may actually end up more than a foot. They're looking at possibly a little bit more than we even are. So more of an impact up that way, Lori. People talking about getting bread today, making your preparations. A lot of people asking if it's going to be a drier or a powdery snow. It's going to be a drier, powdery, lighter, fluffier snow, so it's not that heavy cement, heart attack snow that we all hate cleaning off. So it should be fairly easy to brush off. But again, it's 8 to 12 inches of it, so it's not going to be all that easy to kind of clear off. So I still want you guys to take it easy on yourselves when you're cleaning up from this system. Chris providing a nice little tip there, using a leaf blower is a good way to clear off a lot of that dry snow. Good question, Kylie Jones. Will the heavy snow stick around into next week? Schools are already discussing possible closures for next week up until Wednesday. Yes, that is the other component to the storm system that I haven't gotten into yet, is that it's going to be bitterly cold after this storm system departs. So we're going to be looking at temperatures remaining well below freezing with that snow remaining on the ground for several days. So we don't warm up above freezing here even through the end of next week. And it looks like we only get colder by the end of next week as well. So it looks like this snow is going to be around for quite some time. So hopefully it gets cleaned up pretty good and that's not just left to melt. But all right. Okay, LaQuinia asking another good question. Will Saturday morning be clear? Saturday morning, I think, of the entirety of the weekend is probably going to be your best time to make any last minute preparations. I think it's going to be a fairly slow start for that snow to get going. Again, there are a couple of caveats here with that dry, cold air at the onset. So some of those snow showers that we see moving through for Saturday morning may have a hard time actually reaching the ground. So I'd say you have a better part of Saturday morning to still get any last minute preparations done before we actually start to see that snow filling in a little bit more through the afternoon. And then by the time we get into the overnight hours Saturday, this is going to be the height of the storm. So if you're not in your home squared away by late Saturday night, you're kind of running out of time there. So I'd say tomorrow is going to be the best day to go out, prepare, grab all your non-perishables, grab everything you need, snow shovels, maybe some gas for your snow blower, maybe for generators as well. I'm not expecting a whole lot in terms of power outages here in the tri-state because we are expecting predominantly a lighter, drier, fluffier snow. I don't expect a lot of weight on the power lines. However, folks, where you're going to mix with a little bit of that sleet and freezing rain down across portions of Hopkins, Muhlenberg, and Ohio County, I think you have a little bit greater of a chance to see some power outages because of that. So keep that in mind as well. Not expecting widespread power outages, but a couple can't be ruled out. So I want you guys to make sure you're fully prepared for all of that. And I threw this little graphic in there to talk about snow ratios and why this snow is going to be a little bit fluffier and lighter. It's because our temperatures are going to be so cold. Our temperatures during the height of this storm are going to be in the teens. So that gives us a snow ratio of anywhere between 15 to 20 inches of snow for 1 inch of liquid equivalent precipitation. So that's why, we're seeing such huge inflated numbers here, is because that snow is really light and fluffy and it can pile up very quickly. That brings me to my next point. With temperatures being so cold, the ground is going to be more than ready to allow it to stick. So once that snow does actually start reaching the ground, it is going to pile up fairly quickly. So roads are probably going to deteriorate very quickly out there through Saturday afternoon. If you still have to be on the roads, you want to drive as safe as possible. We urge you not to be out driving this weekend, but if you have to, clear all of the snow off of your vehicle, top, sides, back too. You don't want to drive too fast for the conditions. Of course, you always want to go at least 10 to 15 miles per hour below the speed limit, especially in any winter conditions. You want to leave extra space between you and the vehicle in front of you. Do not use cruise control. You want to be completely in control of your vehicle. And if you start to slide, be careful not to overcorrect or slam the brakes. Everything in winter driving has to be eased into. You should not ever be accelerating quickly. You should not ever be stopping quickly. And when in doubt, just let it coast. Okay? That is kind of like my holy grail for tips in terms of winter driving. Now, outside of the snow, we've talked about the snow and what we can expect across the tri-state. Let's talk about the cold. That's the other part of this alert. So we're on alert for that snow Saturday, Sunday. Monday, we're on alert for the cold. We have temperatures that are only going to warm up into the teens through the afternoon, but waking up Monday morning, we're going to be down in the single digits for our actual air temperatures, but those feels like temperatures are going to be even colder than that. But I'll take you through the entirety of the weekend here because it's still going to be cold Saturday and Sunday. Waking up Saturday morning, it's still going to feel like the single digits below zero out there. So that is very cold, very dry air mass. And the same thing can be going for Sunday morning as well, down into the single digits above zero. But when we get into Monday morning with that existing snowpack on the ground, clear skies, not necessarily calm winds, but we'll see temperatures with those wind chill values all the way down in the negative territory, potentially down into the lower teens below zero. So it could feel like -12 waking up Monday morning. So that is very dangerously cold. You definitely want to be bundled up, multiple layers on the top and on bottom. You want to have a hat, gloves, scarves, face mask, everything, cover all exposed skin, especially if you're going to be outside for any prolonged periods of time, like cleaning up from the snowstorm. So also want to make sure you guys are nice and warm. So that is kind of the whole complete package for this alert day. So kind of wrapping it up and summarizing everything, I'll go through the comments again one more time. But timing, we're expecting that snow to potentially start moving in the form of a couple of snow showers by late morning, early afternoon, and then it really ramps up. That snowfall really ramps up across the tri-state overnight Saturday into Sunday morning. That'll be the most impactful period of this system. All in all, we're looking at potentially a widespread 8 to 12 inches of snow. Some spots see a little bit more than that. I think some spots see a little bit less than that, especially across Hopkins, Muhlenberg, and Ohio County, where they mix with a little bit of sleet and freezing rain. And then behind this system, very dangerous cold with wind chill values down below 0, waking up Monday morning. So that is the full forecast there. There's a look at your 7-day. Let me go ahead, check out some of the comments for you. All right. Some people asking about ice. Ice is possible mainly across Hopkins, Muhlenberg, and Ohio County. We're not expecting a ton of ice. I think it'll mostly be mixed with sleet rather than freezing rain. I think that freezing rain still stays mostly to our south, but a little bit of sleet could be mixed in with that snow there, and that may chop down those snow totals just a touch, but still expecting at least 7-8 inches in those counties as well. So a lot of snow coming our way. All right. Could the freezing line shift more north? Yes, that is entirely possible if we see the model data that comes in overnight tonight and into tomorrow continues to shift it a little bit more north. We may see that freezing rain line also come up a little bit north, which may impact our totals again. So that's why we ask you guys to just continue to tune in over the next couple of days here. So through tonight and especially through tomorrow, we'll be making more tweaks to that snowfall map and, of course, obviously fine-tuning other aspects of the forecast here. But regardless, it is going to be snowing this weekend. It is going to snow for everybody. It is going to be a lot of snow, and it is going to be very cold after the fact. So numbers at this point become fairly trivial. But that is all I'm seeing for the questions. So I'm going to hop off the live stream here. I'll send you guys over to 14 News at 10 for all the latest news and weather headlines. Until then, everybody, stay safe. Have a great rest of your night. And if you haven't taken the time to prepare yet for this weekend, do that tomorrow. You'll have a nice full day before the storm gets here. We don't have any issues tomorrow other than it being cold out there. So take advantage of that. Prepare yourselves. And hopefully it's just a nice, easygoing snowstorm. We don't have any issues, and we all get to play in the snow afterwards when it's all said and done. But that is all I've got, so I'm going to hop off the live stream. I'll send you guys over 14 News at 10 for all the latest news and weather headlines. Until then, everybody, stay safe. Have a great rest of your night.